How do you think you can solve the problem of this country? A country that is becoming more and more childish. Well, the solution is 2016 Elizabeth Warren. Let's talk about this woman. But before talking about this woman, I would like to say why America is childish, because America is becoming a country that, like every big empire, is completely selfish, is completely lost the sense of self-criticism. They never look at other experience from other side of the worlds, and in the same time they expected that President Obama did everything by himself. When he talked about changes, while changes, everybody has to be responsible. If you want to change a country, everybody has to work to change a country. You cannot expect to put on the shoulder of only one person the changes and you do nothing. So he has to do everything and he has to take the blame for everything. And it seems to me very childish as a behavior. Americans, they know perfectly there are jobs that will never come back because unfortunately they are obsolete. And because they create an economy that instead to create manufacturer job and job of the future, they create jobs like video games and so on, and jobs that that they disappear after 6 months, after 4 months, in a cycle, in a spiral, no stop. So why we need to have this kind of change when Obama will be gone? Because Elizabeth Warren represents us, represents the people without power. She represents she is the person that can defend us against the people with power, against the 1% of the population that they make only their own interest against our interest. And they demonstrate all the time. The people that they saw their salary growing 283% in the last 15 years, while the rest of the 99% of the people in this country saw their salary going below the inflation of the country. So why you are surprised that most of Democrats and independent and 43% of the Republicans, they want to raise taxes on the 1% of the population and millionaires, because they understood that these people, they had salary they didn't deserve. They had too much, they got bonuses and they got golden parachute they didn't deserve. Just look at the last scandal that we have assisted at, in which in the private sector, and they complain about the public sector. That's the funny thing. They complain about the public pension, social security, Medicare, Medicaid, and this. Look at the private sector. The money that all the people in the private sector put in their pension plans, they show, and Joe Stewart was very good in showing that, went into the pocket of golden parachute and bonuses and salaries of only CEOs and SPVs of these companies. Every company, every corporate in the United States, all your money in the private sector. And you don't want to have a person as a president like Elizabeth Warren that really cares about you and really wants to see this middle class growing and being protected with strong regulation, and having a future in education and healthcare, and a future in investments, in the good investments, the one that create real jobs that last for the future, not the one that they have been wiped out after 3 seconds, like the jobs that America created in the last 20 years with all the failures and the bankruptcy of many companies. So this is a change. On the other hand, why do we need Bernie Sanders as a vice president with Elizabeth Warren? Because he's an independent, he's a person that brings as an example for his campaign, for his life, for his political life, all the success of other countries that are successful and strong, like the AAA plus countries. He is exactly the example of the politics that are successful today in the world. He is a social democrat to some extent, which is not a socialist, but is a person that believes in hybrid societies. He lives in a society that is a compromise of regulated capitalism and universal services. He has been the sponsor of solutions that have been already successfully being implemented in Canada, in Norway, in Sweden, in Finland, in France, in Germany, in Australia, in New Zealand, in Switzerland, in Austria, you name it, in Netherlands. Practically he supports, like in Netherlands, to have legalization of marijuana. In the same time, he supports, of course, gay marriage and any gay institution, as you have in many European countries, in Canada as well. He supports universal services. France is number 2 in, for instance, in universal health care. Finland is number 1 in education. He supports investment in alternative energy, like in Denmark. Denmark 10 years ago made investments in alternative energies. They were practically totally oil dependent, and now they are totally oil independent, and they are the stronger providers of solar and wind systems in the world. And they he supports investment in transportation, like in France, which you have high-speed trains that solve a lot of the problems that you have in the congestion in air traffic, and support the strong economy, like in Germany, in which the middle class is so strong, is so powerful, and support the bank regulation of Switzerland, Austria, and he supports how to defend yourself against the bad economy, not being impacted by the recession as in Australia and New Zealand. And at the same time, he supports civil rights and civil behavior, and supports things like eco prisons like in Norway, eco prisons to recuperate inmates rather than augment the inmate population as it happens right now in the United States, just for business reasons, just because the catering company they can make money, or other private company they can make money because they are proportional on the number of inmates that they have. So we have tons of people just smoke marijuana, and they are in the American prisons, and probably in a couple of years they will become the worst in the world in terms of crime, because they will only live in this kind of situation. Not to talk about the last point about immigration, like in Germany or another place in which they help people to be integrated in their society, and they increase export, bringing on foreign companies, so that they don't outsource jobs abroad, but bring jobs at home. This is why